All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Big Blue Dynasty. We are setting up for the off season. I'm pretty excited about it because I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how this is going to look for the off season. Will certain things happen in this year's draft that is going to make sense compared to what we saw in our other series there in the Julius Klein coaching sim series with the Chargers? I think that I've done enough to kind of maneuver things to get us in the right spot. So we'll kind of talk about that right now as far as what we did in this series here. When it comes to trades, because the draft order is so off, I went ahead and tried my best to maneuver them based on the advances. So I saw how the my other series, the certain picks that got moved around as the Madden doesn't take into account strength of schedule, things got moved around. Like the Jets should be pick 10 and the Falcons should be pick 8 and the Bears should be pick 9. So it's just like things that should be moved around. I tried my best to maneuver them and get us in the right spot. So, one of the other things I decided to do is I looked at Vegas odds and I wanted to see what would happen in this series, right? We can only predict what we can predict. Vegas odds currently have Justin Fields going to the Falcons at 22%. It actually has the higher odds of Justin Fields going to the Falcons more than staying with the Bears. It's actually the Bears, then the Broncos, and then it's the Falcons, then the Broncos, and then the Bears, as far as odds of where he'll land. I think the Falcons isn't a bad play. Now, as far as his value, Mel Kiper said something about like a freaking 12th overall pick. I just don't see that happening. He hasn't done enough that would require someone to give a 12. I think when it comes down to it, the Bears need a second round pick. They don't have one. So by snagging up this trade right here, they get an early second round pick. So I think that's a fair move, knowing that they're going to move on, reset the clock, and go with hopefully a quarterback. We'll see what the system does, though. I don't know what this draft class does. You just never know when it comes to Madden, like the logic and stuff. It's really weird. When you look at the other series that I'm in, teams that needed a quarterback like the Patriots and the Broncos didn't draft a quarterback. It was really strange. But then certain teams grabbed backups, like the Jets and the Raiders. It was a really weird one. So, we'll kind of see what happens and work through it. But I wanted to make sure I showed this trade here because that could change this draft dramatically, or hopefully make it make sense. As far as certain areas there, the Bears and the Jets trading just kind of made. I did that to ensure that they be in the right order. With the Falcons as well, trading with the Jets to be in the right order with the picks that they currently have. So the Jets don't have a second round pick, so I didn't trade a second round pick with the Falcons. I also did it with the Commanders and the Cardinals as at advance. The Cardinals end up being pick number 2 when they end up being pick number 4 when they should be pick number 2. So the Commanders should be pick number 2 and the Cardinals should be pick number 4. So I flipped those trades, traded as many picks that made sense that equaled that to ensure that what could occur. Titans and the Giants, I flipped those draft picks as the draft order again would get mixed up between the Titans and the Giants. So those are the trades that I did do to ensure I can get as close to the order. I don't know what's going to happen in this advance, to be honest. There was a lot of crazy stuff that I decided to do to try to make this all work. Another thing I went ahead and did is there were certain players that I wanted to make sure we got taken care of. There were edits that I did. I moved Zach Tom to right tackle because I don't feel like it's right for them to take another right tackle in the draft. If they got Zach Tom and they got another cat over there at right tackle as well. And they got Rasheed Walker. So Bakhtiari is projected to be back next season, so that's why I did what I did. Fatu Kasi plays better at defensive tackle. Corey Linsley's supposed to retire, so I updated him. Rashid Shaheed didn't have a 3-year deal, so I made sure to update that so that he would stay with the Saints. Sterling Shepard's projected to retire. Byron Jones in the earlier of the year said he wasn't going to play, so he was busted up, so I made sure to update that. T.Y. Hilton hasn't found any buyers. Marvin Jones looked like he was going to retire. As far as the quarterbacks, Baker Mayfield's projected to stay with the Buccaneers, so I went ahead and updated his contract. About a 2-year deal, nothing too crazy, about $20 million a year. I think that was fair. Kirk Cousins looking at a discount. I also did the same thing, probably about 22 mil at that point. Other players I didn't feel like should be in the game anymore, as they haven't been picked up, and I don't think anyone will. Blake Martinez, Ben Jones, Andrew Norwell. I went ahead and updated that so they don't impact some of the playoff teams. And we'll talk about what I did with this playoff since we are playing after the wild card is done. Andrew Voorhees updated him, as I think like Madden did him dirty, and he was projected to be the best O-lineman. He tears his ACL and they drop him down to 67, makes 0 sense. Chandler Jones isn't being picked up by anybody, so updated that. Matt Paradis, same thing. Landon Collins, Teddy Bridgewater supposed to retire this year, so I went ahead and updated that. We did some things with Sam Howell and Desmond Ridder. Nothing too crazy, but the hope is that these two teams may look at a QB. Geno Smith, all I did with Geno Smith is updated his dev to star dev, so he'll regress, but most likely it'll take away his star dev and he won't drop so much. Other projected players I edited were like Jameis Winston, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, and Russell Wilson. Moved him to a star dev so he doesn't lose much, because I think he's not a bad QB, but he shouldn't drop drastically based on his age and based on the sliders that we are using, and we'll talk about our sliders in just a second here. So those were what we're doing there. As far as releases are concerned, I got to pick up these players as they weren't picked up by playoff teams so that they wouldn't impact the offseason free agency. In order to fire staff members, players that were actually that were projected to be fired, I went ahead and did the following. You have to be an owner in order to fire your staff. And once you do that, they're gone and they won't be picked up from that team again. So that's what I decided to do to kind of mix it up. Now, granted, Arthur Smith might find a head coaching job in Madden because it is what it is. Same thing with Josh McDaniels, Pete Carroll, Mike Vrabel. It is what it is. But that's what I did there to kind of mix that up. We also made sure to fire the staff for the Commanders. Certain players that are projected to be gone would be Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill for the Titans, along with Vrabel, so I made sure to do that. Same thing with the Seahawks and Pete Carroll. Jameis Winston's probably not going to stay with the Saints based on what he did at the end of that game with the Falcons. Panthers also are coming in with a new regime. Zach Wilson's projected to be released. Austin Eckler, same thing. Staley was fired from the Chargers, so did that. Josh McDaniels fired. I made sure to release Jimmy Garoppolo to see how that's going to impact the cap for them. Hopefully that'll work out. It's projected Mac Jones is fired. I went ahead and fired all the staff for the Patriots. Released Russell Wilson, as that's projected to happen as well, because it makes a whole lot of sense. Now, these other releases here all happen because this is another thing that I wish Madden gave you the option to do, which is not allow this free agents to be signed as soon as you start from a specific starting point. Sadly enough, when you start in week 1 and on, any of those starting points will sign players outside of the Super Bowl. When you get to the Super Bowl starting point, only the two contenders will sign somebody, so that'll clean up things, make it a little easier. I don't know if that's going to help with the draft picks, but that's what I know will help with some of the cleanup there. Is if you waited until the Super Bowl is done, then you can do a sim, cut those players, edit them as you would like, and then move on. I think where I'm at right now is not bad, so that's what we decided to do. So I didn't sign anybody too crazy. As you can see, there were some changes that did occur throughout this season. Falcons have a brand new coach. You got Vrabel's now coaching the Commanders. Pete Carroll's coaching the freaking Titans. You got Frank Reich coaching the Seahawks. Brandon Staley with the Panthers. Josh McDaniels with the Chargers. Peter Gaffney, who is supposed to be Belichick, he's coaching the Raiders. Ron Rivera is coaching the Patriots. So it's kind of an interesting setup, but I don't think it's bad moves across the board. And any players that were actually on one of the playoffs teams, I did edit. I made sure that they weren't going to be a part of the madness, and hopefully that kind of works out there, but we'll see what we can do. before I get to the sliders, I kind of want to show what you could do also to, you know, get accurate with what you're doing here. When you go to the schedule, you can actually select who wins. Crazy enough, only one away team won in this wild card this weekend, so you can actually select it and choose which one to do. You can reset, you do all that kind of stuff. It's either home, away, or reset. So I went ahead and updated the basically who won all the way through this, since we are recording on Wednesday the 17th. So I went ahead and took care of that, and we'll get a chance to kind of advance and see which teams move on from the division round to the championship. As far as sliders are concerned, we are currently using, as I stated in my previous video, Mat 10 sliders here. Nothing has changed so far. I honestly think they're okay. Nothing too crazy. The one thing I did change right now is I think there's something going on with the fatigue, so I'm going to keep mine at 85, although Mat 10 has it at 70. I think I see a little bit more fatigue changes occurring, and players kind of being substituted in and out. So I know right now there was some news that came out that they were trying to update that fatigue and they screwed it up again, so players weren't getting substituted. So I went ahead and I'll just roll with what I'm rolling there. XP sliders. Stated in the previous video, we're going to be using Mr. Hurricane sliders. I think these work out just fine. I know some people have some tweaks and stuff, but I like these ones. I think it does penalize the older players, but it also makes sense to do so unless they perform in a high capacity. So I am cool with that. So when it comes to the Giants, when you look at this team, our team, this is my favorite team in the NFL. They have a lot of issues, right? One, when it comes to the roster, we got players on this O-line that won't be here more than likely, or won't be starters. We got to figure out what's going to happen with Evan Neal, right? I could move Evan Neal to left guard. I think he would play better at a guard, to be honest, more than a tackle. But you don't spend a seventh overall pick and move him around if he believes he can do it, and we can get the right coach, which it looks like we brought in a new O-line coach from the Raiders, Burkillo. You know, let's see what we can do. So we'll rock with Evan Neal right now at right tackle, but guards are in need of help, and I need to figure out what we're going to do with Mr. John Michael Schmitz, because he's a good player. I just feel like maybe we need to give him some guidance. Maybe a mentor at center could be a right thing. The tight end group was underperforming. Bellinger did what he could, but he's more of like a tight end too, unless we can find a way to leverage him like you see in certain teams, like maybe the Saints. They don't really use their tight end that well, but they use them for certain moves. Maybe the Packers or something like that. But you brought in a versatile tight end that just never got on the field. He never stayed on the field, always injured. So we could potentially cut Darren Waller. You know, the thing is like his cap does go up at the end of this year, but if we were to cut this man, we would save ourselves some money starting next season. So it won't be right now, but that might be some thought process there. Do we just trade this guy and get him over with, or do we keep him to help out with the future, right? The running back group is led currently right now with Saquon Barkley, but we have to think about, are we going to sign the man? One of the thoughts are potentially the Giants moving up maybe in the draft. That could be one of the strategies, and one of those things is going franchise tag Saquon Barkley. And with that franchise tag of Saquon Barkley, you use your 1 and 2 this year and 1 and 2 next year, and Saquon Barkley to go to the Bears and allow the Bears to, at that point, move back to pick 6, but they now have a legitimate running back. Like that was one of the situations if they decided to go with Fields. Now Fields is traded in our scenario, so we'll definitely talk about our free agency re-signings in a little bit here. You got Shepard out there who's probably going to retire, so it's going to be basically Slayton, Wan'Dale Robinson, and Jalen Hyatt. Those are the players that I'm hoping to grow here. But when I see certain things like that, when it comes to this wide receiver group, there's still a lot. Slayton's very good as far as speed. He's able to get down the field. His route running's improved. But we need to figure out what we're going to do with that, right? Do I move Hyatt in the slot? I think Wandell's played great in the slot. We need to get him more involved, as he's now going to be 1 year removed from his ACL injury. Quarterback is an issue. You know, we got Tommy DeVito, who more than likely the extension is going to make a whole lot of sense, and Tyrod Taylor's on his way out. And with regression at his age, I don't know if he's coming back. When it comes to the defensive side, you also have to deal with certain re-signings, like Xavier McKinney is a concern. Isaiah Simmons is a concern with re-signing Ashawn Robinson, Adoree Jackson. What do we do in these spaces, right? I think Micah McFadden had just some crazy highlights. Like there was games where he was having double-digit tackles with ease, but then there were other days where he just disappeared and had issues taking the defenders, the opponents down. So, you know, I think Isaiah Simmons was starting to figure it out, but now, right, we do not have Wink. We're going to make sure to fire our coordinator, and we're going to have to figure out who's going to be our coordinator, who's going to be our dog, right? Azeez Ojulari didn't have a great year. He was also having issues on and off the field. So do we make Azeez Ojulari a rotation guy and bring in a new pass rusher? Kayvon Thibodeau also disappeared at certain times as well, but I think having this guy freaking play pass coverage 30% of the time was insane. I think this guy should just freaking hunt, and we might have to figure out a coordinator and playbook to match that ability to just let him go after the QB. Deonte Banks was a great pick for us in this year's draft. I thought he was amazing. He's a great freaking player. Dude competes. And to me, he's our CB1. But we need a CB2. Is it Cordell Flott? Is he our guy? Is it, do we re-sign Nick McLeod or Adoree Jackson to play another piece? I don't think so. I think we're going to have to let those guys go. So retooling the CB role is 100% necessary. The D-line, it's pretty much Dexter Lawrence and then nobody else. So we're going to have to figure out, are these other pieces going to work out? Is Jordan Riley the guy? Is DJ Davidson the guy? Is Nunez Roches the guy, right? Do we extend Ashawn Robinson, keep this line to a certain extent? I don't know. Dexter Lawrence is a great freaking player for us, but there really is not much after him. He's a 95 overall player. Dude's got ridiculous play rec, awareness, power move. Like, he's an incredible player, but we need other guys around him. Maybe a scheme change is necessary. Leave the 3-4 and go to a 4-3. Maybe. That could work out for us. As far as special teams concerned, we do get Graham Gano back, so that's not going to be an issue. Return, special teams has been an issue. I liked how Gunnar played at certain times, and I liked how he didn't, and I didn't like how he played at certain times. So I'm willing to spend a little bit of money to keep him, and that's something we're going to have to think about from a realism standpoint for this offseason. How do we keep certain players, and what is it going to take to allow us to sign them? There are some players on this practice squad that are okay, but there's a whole lot that are not. So, maybe keeping some of these guys initially isn't a bad move, but more than likely we're going to move on from a lot of these practice squad players, as they were brought onto the team due to just injuries that we've sustained. So now that we've gone through all that, we're going to go ahead and advance it. The table is set. You got the Ravens playing the Texans, Bills playing the Chiefs at home, Packers heading to the West Coast against the Niners, and the Lions get to host another home game in the Dome against the Buccaneers. Who takes it? Who wins it? Who becomes the dog? Let's find out. So with the advance, the winners are, the Cinderella story ends. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens beat the Houston Texans barely, 24-21. Ravens were down 14-7 entering the fourth quarter, and then it looked like it was 21-7, and then the Ravens just went off at the end and got it done. Stats are pretty close, and when it came down to it, it was time of possession. It was probably towards the end of that game. CJ Stroud, though, is still an incredible player. He had 193 yards and a touchdown. Lamar did not have a touchdown or interception. So it looks like the Texans defense was getting busy. You got the Houston Texans with Dameon Pierce leading the helm there. He ran like a crazy person, 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. Oh my goodness. Gus Edwards, 19 for 68, so the run game didn't go so well. Lamar Jackson had 2 touchdowns on the ground, 43 yards. Receiving, Nico Collins led it, baby. I really like that freaking receiver. He's a good receiver. Him and Tank Dell for the Texans is going to be a great, great pair for future seasons to come. Odell Beckham got shut down, it looks like, as well. Defense, Blake Cashman doing well. Perriman, Stingley Jr. did okay. Bunch of people had tackles for loss, but there was only 2 sacks in the game, and they were from the Baltimore Ravens. So close one there. Can't really complain. See that? But look at this. The Chiefs go to Buffalo, and the Bills get upset 24-21. Now the freaking Chiefs in this last game against the Dolphins looked ridiculous, and as you can tell, Pat Mahomes still able to throw 3 touchdowns with only 200 yards. Allen, 303 yards and 2 touchdowns. He did what he could, man. Oh, we got to work through that. Looks like Derrick Henry ended up being on the freaking Chiefs. That's great. Buccaneers. It looks like the Buccaneers upset the Lions. The storyline continues here for Baker. Unbelievable. Baker Mayfield heading to the divisional championship against the Niners, who the Niners barely beat the Green Bay Packers. So after the advance there, we went ahead and removed Derrick Henry. And that's something that you may want to do is for any of the free agents or the potential players you're looking to cut. If you are going to be using a team that is not in the playoffs, just add them to your team. And then when it comes to re-signing, just cut them so that you don't have to worry about them and they can go into the free agency market with ease. So I went ahead and did that. So the Chiefs will not have Derrick Henry coming to this conference here. But let's see who wins this conference championship and advances to the Super Bowl. And the winners are, oh my goodness, the Ravens get smoked 45-24. It looks like freaking Pat Mahomes is firing on all cylinders now. In surprising fashion here, the Ravens just looked very dead. They had 381 yards, which is kind of crazy to say that they look dead, but he only threw 232 yards. They had home field advantage. I thought it was going to be the Ravens' year, to be honest, man. It really felt like that. But the Chiefs, they were up 17-7 at the half, and it was 24-10 entering the fourth quarter, and then the Ravens didn't stop. They just kept blowing up. So sadly enough, Lamar Jackson is out of the playoffs. They made it to the conference championships once again, just can't get over the hump there, but we'll see what happens. And then the Niners finally shut down Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers. They're saying, hey man, we appreciate y'all, but this might be our year. This would be an incredible Super Bowl here, as it would be the Niners and the Chiefs. That would be nuts. You got the Chiefs with an opportunity to go back to back. You got the Niners with a chance to get back into stardom with a 7th round mystery relevant pick in the quarterback Brock Purdy. So before we head to the Super Bowl, let's just check out the yearly rewards, right? Let's just see who got it done. Looks like Dak Prescott wins the MVP. Kind of crazy right there. Dan Campbell gets Coach of the Year there. As far as the NFC is concerned, CeeDee Lamb was the dog. Offensive Player of the Year. Danielle Hunter, Defensive Player of the Year. Puka Nacua, Offensive Rookie of the Year. Stevenson is the Defensive Rookie of the Year for the NFC. Dak, Best QB. McCaffrey, Best Running Back. CeeDee, Best Wide Receiver. I would think Amon-Ra was up there, but CeeDee balled out. Micah Parsons is out there. Danielle Hunter won. Deron Bland with the interceptions. And then Brandon Aubrey did great as a kicker this year. AFC, you got Tyreek Hill winning it over Josh Allen and Lamar. TJ Watt, Defensive Player of the Year, makes sense. CJ Stroud, no surprise there. Dude was ridiculous this season. He ends up winning the Offensive Rookie of the Year for the AFC, and Will Anderson for the defensive side. I don't know, Thule and Battle were pretty good too this year. Lamar Jackson, Best QB. Best Running Back Raheem Mostert, he had tons of touchdowns this year. Best wide receiver, Tyreek Hill. Nico Collins at number 2, that was pretty good. Larry Tunsil, best left tackle. Max Crosby, best D-line. TJ Watt, best linebacker. Geno Stone, best DB. Kyle Hamilton had a good year too. Kymie Fairbairn, best kicker. He wasn't even there for most of the year. Kind of crazy for that. Let's see who wins the Super Bowl. Is it going to be them Niners, or is it the Kansas City Chiefs? And at this advance, it will be the 49ers! The San Francisco 49ers beat the Kansas City Chiefs 42-21. Brandon Ayuk with the Super Bowl MVP. So you would think the Niners would get shut down. You would think the Niners would slow down. But they get it done right there. Oh my goodness. That's ridiculous. 42-21. Super Bowl champions are San Francisco 49ers. Brock Purdy, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. Pat Mahomes, 256, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Pacheco couldn't run that well. He had a touchdown. Not so good. McCaffrey, 21 for 97. You got Ayuk, 9 for 133 and 4 touchdowns. Oh my gosh. That is incredible right there. Now, the other part, though, that I'm seeing right now is where the heck was McCaffrey in the pass game? He didn't catch a ball? What are they doing? Oh my gosh. Oh, it was Elijah Mitchell who got involved with the run game, with the pass game. But really good day today for the Niners. Looks like Trent and Banks gave up some sacks, 2 sacks, but nothing crazy. You had a sack and a half. Nick Bosa, Chase Young paired up, man. Are those guys going to stay together? Sebastian Joseph Day got involved. We had a pick by Travarius Ward. Wow, the Niners win the Super Bowl in commanding fashion. Niners are a good team, though, man. People don't want to talk about them, but they're an incredible team. Great for them. Now, we do have some retirements coming up, and let's see who ends up leaving this season. Norwell, Keenum are done. Harrison Smith calls it a career with the Vikings. Nico Autry decides to retire. You got Jimmy Graham finally retiring for another time. Kyle Van Noy, Kevin Zeitler call it a career. Wow. You got Matthew Slater retiring. Adam Thielen says he's done. Chandler Jones is on this list. Bridgewater. Aaron Rodgers. Whoa! Aaron Rodgers says he's done. What the heck? In this series here, Aaron Rodgers changes his mind. He says, I'm not coming back. This is it for me, fellas. Until next time. For the Giants, Tyrod Taylor and Justin Pugh retire. Calais Campbell retires for the Falcons. Julio Lane Johnson, he decides to retire with Jason Kelsey. So the Eagles are going to look like a different freaking breed coming into this next season, as they don't have their star right tackle, and they do not have Jason at center anymore. Wow. Roger Suffel, Nitschke. No, nothing too crazy there, but pretty incredible. So there's going to be some changes going on in this one. Eagles are going to need to revamp their entire freaking team. So as far as staff is concerned, we have to figure out who we're going to bring in. So I think that's what we're going to do, and I think it makes a whole lot of sense. Now, here's the thing. There is also talks of Mr. Kafka. You know, he's been getting some interviews and stuff as well. He could decide to find a new home and kind of work with that, right? To me, I don't think there's anything wrong with living in that type of world as well. And I want it to be fun for me, right? Like, I don't want to run the same freaking offense over and over again and just lose my mind. So I think on my end, I'm also going to consider a potential change here. So if I'm going to choose somebody right now, I think I'm going to be looking at some play at a coaching tree that can kind of fit with what would be kind of neat, right? The Shanahan setup, Matt LaFleur, West Coast zone run, Gary Crawford. Welcome to the Giants staff right there. Gary Crawford. So West Coast zone run, Green Bay Packers. So team on the defensive side didn't change as much at all when it comes to the scheme. So we're going to check this out here. West Coast zone run. So now that we have made those choices, we'll work on the stat points and stuff a little bit later. But I think this is actually a good start for us. So we went ahead, updated our team, and we brought in some new staff members. Went ahead and let go of our OC. The DC was already gone. We're bringing in somebody from the Rams coaching tree on the defensive side. He's got a 3-4 under scheme I think is going to work out. Same scheme that we currently have, but just a new playbook. Offensive coordinators coming over from the Packers, Gary Crawford. So that's going to be neat. You know, we'll kind of see how that looks like and how it goes there. So let's go ahead and advance it and head to the re-sign period. So, and now that we are on the re-sign period, let's actually check out what the mocks would say here, right? There were some changes that happened in the draft as far as trades, and there it is. Caleb Williams looks like he's heading in this mock to the Chicago Bears. But check this out. Drake May to the Patriots with Olu Fashanu gone. I am shocked. Where is Marvin? Yeah, that's not going to happen. No way does Marvin Harrison fall that far. That would be insane. This is a crazy mock. They got us going Jared Verse. I just wouldn't do that. I would probably go Jaden Daniels. Like, if that happens, if Jaden falls to us, we're grabbing Jaden Daniels. Right? The Commanders, if they choose to stick with Sam Howell, they get Olu Fashanu. He's a great tackle. But if you do that, you're talking about there's a big change. Yeah, I'd go Jaden Daniels 100% there. Cooper DeJean to the Raiders. That's not a bad move. Bo Nix. This is so weird how the Colts always want a QB. JJ McCarthy to the Bengals. I think being backup right there is not bad because Burrow gets hurt from time to time. Wouldn't be upset with that. Oh, weird draft. JC Latham to the Eagles. I could see that because they need a tackle with no more Lane Johnson. Malik Neighbors falling all the way to the Niners would be disgusting, dude. I would be so angry if that happened. So interesting mock right there. But let's see what we got here when it comes to our re-signing, right? You got Xavier McKinney. You got Saquon Barkley, Isaiah Simmons, Adoree Jackson. You got some other cats right here that we have to think about bringing on. And we got to be smart with this. We need the money. We got to be better in this space. So this is how I have it currently set up right now for the series. Trade deadline is on, but we are disabling trades. I do not want to see any trades occurring until week 3 of the preseason. And then we turn it off and turn it back on in week 6. That's something that I decided to do because I think I see a little bit more realism there. Practice squad stealing as well. We don't see that turned on until week 6, the trade, when we turn the trades on. I think it gives the league a chance to kind of leverage the players that they have. We got a staff talent cost modifier of slower. Injuries are all going to stay on, turning progressive fatigue off. Now here's something I'm going to try to do that's a little interesting here. Stage 1 is where everyone starts getting a ton of players, okay? When it comes to stage 1, I am only going to be looking at players that are in the green. Players that want to play for us. It makes a whole lot of sense. You're not going to bring a free agent that doesn't want to play for us. So when it comes to negotiations for free agents, I'm only looking at green and yellow in stage 1. In stage 2, I am opening up the opportunity to grab a player that is in the red that doesn't want to play for us. But if they are a scheme fit, I can try to go for them in stage 2. I just have to be willing to pay a premium for them. And it can only be a 1-year deal for any players in red. So I'm opening it up for me there. And the reason why I'm trying to do this, I kind of want to see what the league, what the CPU does. Are they going to snag up all their players here? You can get up to 9 in stage 1. And then do you become stingy in stage 2 and then go wild in stage 3? I just want to see what happens. So with stage 2, for me, I'm able to go after players in red, but they have to be a scheme fit and it can only be a 1-year deal. In stage 3, I can go after anybody that's out there. And the reason for it is, hey man, you're not getting picked up by anybody. So because you're not getting picked up by anybody, you may have to take a discount to come and play on any NFL team. By me doing that though, stage 3, only 1-year deals are allowed. So with free agency for green and yellow players, I usually try to just add a year or minus a year, depending on what I want to do. I don't do 7-year deals, none of that. But in stage 3, I can only do 1-year deals. So if there's any players I'm negotiating in stage 2 and they do not sign in stage 2, I have to switch their contracts if I have a 2-year deal down to a 1-year deal and allow them to roll here in stage 3. Okay. So that's how our free agency is set up in this series. So when it comes to the negotiations now, I want to make sure we're looking at this, who I want to bring in. Saquon Barkley, he's not asking for a whole lot of money. It's about $11.4 million a year. I think to meet in the middle here, what I'm willing to do is give him a little bit less money in the salary, but give him more guaranteed. I think what's fair, honestly, for him is probably closer to about $12 million. So about $21 million guaranteed for him for a 3-year deal. So it's 3 years, $36 million. I hope he takes it. I think it's a fair deal, and it looks like Saquon is. That's nice for us. Now, after this Saquon deal, we're left with $62 million in this cap space. Now, Xavier McKinney is not asking for a whole lot of money in this negotiation. So his value that he's looking at is closer to about 14 mil. McKinney is just a nice piece for the defense that with this with this Rams concepts that are out there, he's going to get a chance to play cover one quite a bit, and that could fit what he's willing to do. So I'm willing to bring him back in this series, and it's a big deal. I'm looking forward to seeing McKinney back in Big Blue. As far as the other players, I just don't think this is going to be the breaking of the bank situation here. He doesn't want to play first at all. He's not a scheme fit. I think for me, on my end, with how he plays, I'm willing to give him $7 million a year for Isaiah Simmons. I think he's a great player. I just don't think I can afford to give him much more than that. Oh, Simmons signed. So we got Isaiah Simmons here, $7 million a year. I think that's a fair deal. The linebacking group could look really nice with Simmons and Okereke, with Micah McFadden as well. Some of the other players here, I'm really thinking about who could I bring in. So in conclusion, we decided to bring back the following players, and we actually got some good ones. Tommy DeVito, his contract, we're bringing him in. Oh, I think I screwed that up. He shouldn't have gotten that much, but is what. Oh my gosh. Okay, we'll do that. That was a crazy amount. I totally forgot. It's per year on the scale, not what it is. What it is. So we brought back Tommy DeVito, Gunnar Olszewski. Surprisingly, Isaiah Simmons came back for a $7 million a year, 3-year deal. We got Xavier McKinney on a 3-year, $14.2 million a year, basically. And then we brought back Saquon Barkley for a $12 million a year, most of it guaranteed. Across the board, looks like some teams have franchise tagged. You got Josh Jacobs, DJ Reader getting involved. Stephon Diggs and Allen restructured the contract to allow the re-signing of Gabe Davis. 5th-year option for Pat Surtain. Mike Evans staying with the Bucks. Winfield staying with the Bucks. Shoyinka getting a 5th-year option. Levante David staying with the Bucks. You got Hollywood Brown staying with the Cards. Slater getting a 5th-year option. Mecole Hardman, Chris Jones, Michael Dana, Willie Gay, Donovan Smith staying with the Chiefs. Kwity Paye rocking with the Colts. 5th-year option. Tony Pollard accepts a 3-year deal with the Cowboys. Less than $10 million a year. That's a steal. Gilmore staying. Beatrice staying. Jalen Phillips, 5th-year option. Robert Hunt. That's the guy I really wanted. He's staying. Brandon Jones staying with the Dolphins. Wynn staying with the Dolphins. Xavier Howard. He restructured along with Tyreek to open up some room. Swift staying with the Eagles. Chase Young gets the bag with the San Francisco 49ers. 3 years, 52.9. And that was done due to the restructuring of Trent Williams, Deebo Samuel, and Fred Warner to help that. So they're trying to re-up and go for back-to-back there. T. Higgins gets a good deal with the Bengals. Allen staying with the Jaguars. He got a ridiculous contract. 6-year, $171 million. Well-deserved young man. You got Calvin Ridley staying with the Jags. Agnew staying with the Jags. Elijah Vera Tucker, 5th-year option. Whitehead staying with the Jets. With the retirement of Aaron Rodgers, I'm definitely interested in seeing what's going to happen with them. Donovan Peoples-Jones, Jonah Jackson, Graham Glasgow staying with the Lions. Ryan Burns, 5-year, $81.5 million, staying with the Panthers. Andre James staying with the Raiders. Jordan Fuller, Dotson, Rams. Rabwiki, 2-year, $47.6. Whoo, man, he got the bag. Cameron Curl staying with the Commanders. Jordan Brooks, Devin Bush, Noah Fant, Damian Lewis, and Phil Haynes staying with the Seahawks. Najee gets a 5th-year option. Danielle Hunter, 3 for $68, staying with the Vikes. Darisaw, 5th-year option. Akers staying with the Vikes. Reisner staying with the Vikes. Schultz, 4-year, $45 with the Texans. Cashman staying with the Texans. Arthur Smith is the new OC for the Packers. Good luck, dude. We wish you the best there. Oh my gosh. Some players got released. So we'll see what happens in this upcoming situation here. Now, one of the players I'm willing to move on from, and that should help us out from a cap perspective, is Mr. Mark Lewinsky. By cutting him, we will make some room there. $5.7 million is freed up, and then we just have a dead cap of 1.5. So I think that's a good move there for us, and we got to figure out who is going to be our guards in this upcoming season. The combine results later, and we'll do a little bit more in this in the next episode as far as how we're going to draft and look at pieces there. So let's check out the free agents. Let's see what's out there, right? We get to do 3 per evaluation period, so I'm interested in seeing what happens. You got Tyron Smith, Derrick Henry out there, Trent Brown's out there, Jalen Johnson, Michael Pittman, Christian Wilkins, L'Jarius Sneed. You got Gardner Johnson is out there, Jadobe Awuzie is out there, Patrick Queen, Kyle Duggar, Devin White. There's some really good players. Quarterbacks. Gardner Minshew, Russell Wilson, who dropped down to a 71. My goodness. Oh, that's tough for him. I don't know where he goes. Sam Darnold, Gardner Minshew, Joshua Dobbs, Mariota, Huntley. These are some of the guys that are out there. Mac Jones. He would like to play for us, which is hilarious. Halfbacks out there, Derrick Henry, Devin Singletary, Austin Eckler, Zach Moss, Kareem Hunt. There's some really good running backs out there. Wide receivers is what I'm interested in. We got $42.5 million in cap space. Pittman, he's got some offers. Zay Jones, Tyler Boyd, Odell Beckham Jr. would like to come back to the Giants. Curtis Samuel, Darnell Mooney, Richie James, AJ Osborne. There's some decent players out there. Tight ends. Gerald Everett, Gesicki, Ertz, Jonnu, Troutman. So Gesicki gets booted, and it looks like Hunter stays. The Trent Brown acquisition I could see happening. Someone's going to want him. He's a good player. Older, but it is what it is there. I thought I took care of Taylor Wan, but I guess I didn't. I'm going to have to edit him after the fact. I thought I took care of Taylor Wan. I guess I didn't. Andres Pete's out there. You got John Simpson. Ezra Cleveland would be a good player. David Edwards, but we can't go after them until the second round, so I don't know if we're going to be able to get them. Mitch Morse looking for a new home. Connor Williams, pretty good player there. Runyon is who I'd like to get. He just doesn't want to play for us. Van Routen, I think he's a good player. He can actually... He might be a great fit for us. I would like Cesar Ruiz as well. But Van Routen could be a guy we'll look at. Mekhi Becton is no longer with the Jets with the retirement of Aaron Rodgers. They're just saying, man, we got to retool things. So Mekhi Becton's leaving the Jets. That's an interesting move for them. Brandon Graham. He's not coming back to the Eagles. And Armstead's not coming back to the Niners. And Armstead, Eric Nottie, some players. Christian Wilkins. Leonard Williams. There's been talks that he wants to come back to the Giants. I would look at probably Bryce Huff as an option as well. Clowney. On that list, Patrick Queen. Devin White would be amazing. I just spent money on freaking Simmons though. That Cunningham, Davenport's looking, Ida Gross Matos. There's some good players there. As far as the corners though, Jalen Johnson would be amazing. It's just we would have to break the bag for him. Sean Murphy Bunting wouldn't be a bad player to have. Just felt like he got burned a lot though in the Texans. CJ Henderson could be a pretty good player. So to recap, we signed the following players. Sean Murphy Bunting. He has the ability to play outside and inside. He is a scheme fit for us. And with our 3-4 scheme, I think he's going to have an opportunity to play multiple different facets of this defense and concepts that we run. I decided to bring in Bryce Huff, a former Jet. I think he does what he can do for us. We'll probably move him over to a left end. Maybe that'll help him be a potential scheme fit. But now our package, as far as rushing, the QB has gotten a whole lot better alongside Dexter Lawrence. Bringing in an AJ Epinesa from the Bills also, I think, is going to help out with this D-line. I'm looking forward to seeing how this defense rolls. As far as O-line is concerned, we brought in a veteran in Van Routen at right guard, who I think plays very well. He played well with the Raiders, and he's always been a journeyman, but I think he can work out for us. And I brought in a former Ram in David Edwards, who is a scheme fit for us. Didn't want to come over, but no one wanted him, and I'm glad we were able to get him in the second stage. He's going to be our left guard for now, but he'll be competing with Andres Pete more than likely, or maybe Joshua Azudu, or some other prospects that we have on our roster. More depth is needed in the cornerback position, so we snagged up CJ Henderson. I think he's a good player for us. He can play on the outside as well on the inside, former Panther, and he is a scheme fit. As I spoke about earlier, Andres Pete played left tackle for the Saints, but was at left guard for most of his career with New Orleans. So we got a guy who could really help us out along the way. We got a potential gem here, a diamond in the rough in Bryan Edwards. Surprising he's there. He's a big freaking receiver, 6'3", 215. He could probably take over with us, knowing that we let Isaiah Hodgins go. He's a very good player in my opinion. He might be a nasty steal for us. He is also different, as we got a lot of shorter speedsters on the roster. He's a different kind of player for us. And then I brought in a veteran that is a mentor that can help out JMS. Now, as far as other players that were signed across the league, let's check out the quarterbacks. And it looks like Gardner Minshew is heading to Las Vegas. That kind of makes sense there. The Bears say, you know what? We're going to grab Russell Wilson, $10 million deal. Maybe they go freaking Marvin Harrison now. Maybe they don't. But Russell Wilson heading to Chicago, being a veteran is not a bad deal. Looks like the Bears also snagged up Sam Darnold as well, and Mike White. So Bears snagging up QBs. You never know if they're going to draft one. We'll see. The Rams say, you know what? We want our big dog. We want to make sure we give Stafford one more chance. And we're going to bring the best player in. Derrick Henry gets a deal here, $20 million, a little over $10 million for 2 years, heading to Los Angeles. Singletary, going to Arizona. Kareem Hunt to the Vikings. Dobbins to the Lions. He's going to be alongside freaking David Montgomery and Gibbs, so I'm not sure how that works. A.J. Dillon to Carolina. Antonio Gibson to the Falcons. Penny to the Bills. Not a bad move there. Wide receivers. Pittman heading to Washington. They are going to have a crazy duo there. You got McLaren, Pittman, and Dotson. Good group. Zay Jones to the Jets. Tyler Boyd to Chicago. Odell going down to the Falcons with Justin Fields. Curtis Samuel to the Jets. Mooney back to the Bears. Noah Brown is a Panther. So some pretty good moves across the league on that one. Tight ends, Gerald Everett to the Panthers. Gesicki going to the Commanders. And Parkinson to the Chargers. Best left tackle out there overall is Tyron Smith going to the Lions. Trent Brown going to the Bengals. I guess he's competing with Orlando Brown. I wonder what that's going to look like. Lawan going back to the Saints, to the Titans. That's kind of weird, but it is what it is there. We'll just kind of keep that as is. I'm not too too worried now, and I don't think about it. Jonah Williams to the Rams. He's going to get a chance to start there. John Simpson to the Commanders. Mitch Morse is a Bear. So their Bears are spending their money. Runyon to the Patriots. Trey Turner to the Titans. And Cesar Ruiz. He was a player I really liked. He just wasn't he didn't want to play for us. He's taking a deep discount to go to the Ravens. Right tackle Mekhi Becton going to the Eagles. So he is heading to Philly there with Lane Johnson retiring. That's not a bad move for them. Brandon Graham's going to the Vikings. Taquan Lewis heading to the Eagles. Defensive tackle Arik Armstead, he gets a Super Bowl ring, and now he's saying, you know what? Let me run one more year, and let's go ahead and head to Carolina. Michael Pierce going to Las Vegas. Derek Nottie to the Patriots. That was a player I was looking at for potential pickup, but just couldn't see it work out. Christian Wilkins, he's saying, let's go to Philly. You got a big deal. $51 million for 3 years to play in Philly. Leonard Williams going back where he started. He's going to play for the Jets. Leonard Floyd's a Patriot. Jonathan Greenard, I really liked him. He just wasn't a scheme fit for us. He is going to the Broncos. Jadeveon Clowney going back home to Houston. He's like, man, this team is actually winning. Let me get a piece of that there and help out this youthful defense. Zion Taki going to the Bengals. Uchi to the Niners. Malik Harrison to the Jets. Akeem Davis-Gaither heading to Indianapolis. And Zach Bond going to the Ravens. O'Shane to the Panthers. Patrick Queen's going to Texas. Devin White's going to Tennessee. Bobby Wags is going to be playing for the Eagles now. Ooh, man. Kenneth Murray to the Rams. I could see that happening. Van Ginkel to the Rams. Shaquille Barrett is a freaking Packer. Marcus Davenport to the Falcons. Levon Casson's an Eagle. Best corner was Jalen Johnson. He's going to Las Vegas. L'Jarius Sneed saying, hey, man, I'll pair up with Derek Stingley. That's cool with me. He's going to Houston. Chidobe Awuzie to the Commanders. Pat Pete going to the Titans. Marcus Peters to the Falcons. Desmond King to the Falcons. Maddox is a Steeler. Adoree Jackson, former Giant, heading to Denver. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is going to be a Jet. Micah Hyde to the Lions. Geno Stone to the Rams. John Johnson's a Pet. Strong safety Kyle Duggar is heading to the Packers. Poyer's a Vegas Raider. Hill is a Viking. And Marcus May will be a Bengal. Pretty good moves there. Dicker is going to the Eagles. And Zane Gonzalez, what are they doing there? They're spending money on kickers. They got a Jake Elliott. Orquez, okay. That's weird. Ariza getting a chance. He's going to Mile High. So good moves across the board there. You know, we'll go ahead and check out our mock draft, see what that looks like for our guys. So the mock is as follows. You got Caleb Williams heading there to the Bears in this one. It looks like the Commanders and Patriots saying, nah, we're good. We don't need a QB. Drake May falls all the way to the Jets. You got Jaden Daniels going to the Colts. This is crazy. And Marvin Harrison would fall all the way to the Bengals. I don't even know how this would work, man. This is such a weird draft. All right, so with the players that we have now, I have to think about the private workout that we're going to look at. And the potential other player I'm looking at right now in that early second round would be someone like Chris Braswell of Alabama. So these are the three players we will send some private workouts to. Troy Franklin, wide receiver. Right tackle, Tyler Guyton. Left outside linebacker, Chris Braswell. So that'll do it for us today, everybody. I think this team is in a pretty decent spot to set us up for this upcoming draft. The Giants have improved in a couple different areas, which I'm happy about. We have a couple players that I think could do some good things for us from an O-line standpoint. David Edwards, coming over from the Rams, looks pretty solid, along with Van Routen as a good veteran. The right tackle position is up in the air. Andres Pete was brought over here to play left tackle, left guard, but maybe we could try him out at right tackle in this upcoming free season to see who's going to win that role, Evan Neal or Andres Pete. The wide receiver group, still young, and I think we're going to focus on that for this season, is just stay youthful. We got guys out here that could do some things like Darius Slayton, Jalen Hyatt, and Wan'Dale Robinson. But I think this player that we snagged up in the later stages of the free agency, Brian Edwards, could be something special. The running back group is still led by Saquon Barkley, but I don't see myself giving up on trying to improve this in any way. We may look at that this upcoming draft. With the defense, I think it's going to look pretty good. Xavier McKinney is staying with us, so him and Pinnock are going to lead the helm there in the safety group. The linebacking group, to me, also looks pretty solid. We didn't change anything here, but it's going to be pretty neat to see how this rolls. I am considering, though, another outside linebacker in Braswell, so maybe that's a player that we decide to go after in the second round and compete with Azeez Ojulari. The D-line got young, but I think this is solid. Nunez Roches is really a depth piece, and with AJ Epinesa now on the team, we're going to see these guys hunt. Dexter Lawrence, AJ Epinesa, and Bryce Huff go at it, and hopefully we'll see some differences there. Sean Murphy-Bunting and Deontay Banks will be the CB1 and 2, but honestly, CJ Henderson can take the helm, Wardell Flott can do it, and then maybe we'll see a resurgence in Aaron Robinson's career in this upcoming season. So I think we got some good pieces, man. I'm pretty excited about it. And hopefully we can do some good things. We'll try to set up a draft board as well and see how that goes. But if you like what you saw today, everybody, please drop a like, leave a comment, tell me what you think. Let me know if you think this is a good one. And most importantly, subscribe to keep up the series. Definitely interested in seeing what's happening in this draft, because with Marvin Harrison dropping in these mocks, it is pretty insane with that situation there. Who's to say what happens after Caleb Williams? Dallas Turner heading to the Cardinals is so weird to me. And then I have a chance of going after either QB, right? Drake May, who everyone's super hyped about, or Jaden Daniels. In my opinion, it can go either way. I am always going to try to find somebody that we can really evolve in. He's a little older, Jaden Daniels, but this guy, man, he could be something really special for us too. So I got to think about that, and he's actually a better pocket passer than people realize. Drake May, a little bit of a gunslinger. I'm not really a fan of that. So I really have to think about this upcoming draft. But the Jets taking a QB kind of makes sense, man. It really does for them. Knowing that they no longer have Aaron Rodgers, he decides to retire and call it quits. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. With the rest of the players, though, man, there's going to be some shockers here across the board, and definitely looking forward to seeing who goes where. Niners were the Super Bowl champions, and let's see who ends up getting it done in this upcoming season. But that'll do it for me. Y'all have yourself a good one today. And as I always say, let's go Big Blue.